As I'm turning 30 pretty soon next year, I'm looking forward to the next decade on financial goals I'd like to achieve. Considering most men die, guys, pretty early, most men in the US die around 75, I'm about halfway there before my death when I hit the age of 40. So it's time to look at what financial goals I'd like to accomplish in this decade. As usual, though, none of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor.
Knowledge.
So let's just hop into it. As we age, we always go through life transitions, and many of our values change. But over the next decade, for me, 30 to 40, it's important to really truly define what is important and what's going to influence my financial future and your financial future as well. How is this going to influence your goals? Why are you working so hard? Why am I working so hard? Why are we investing so much? Is this for safety and security of our family, our loved ones, our growing family? Is this to provide? Are we stuck on like Lambos and impressing others? I mean, that's for you to decide, but mine's for very different reasons. What is truly important in your life? These are those hard questions. Answering these questions will guide your actions. Maybe you actually work less and spend more time with your friends and family. Maybe you haven't been working enough and spending too much free time, and you actually need to work more and then focus more on finances instead of fleeting pleasures. Doing all this will help guide you over the next decade, like it will help guide me. Number 2 is having an emergency fund that you should typically never touch, right? So according to Fidelity, this will include 3 months of savings. Maybe it'll be better with 6 if you worry about job stability or things like that. So this number is really going to look different for everyone. If you're really a go-getter, maybe you have up to a year, but that's out the recommended range for most financial experts as you look on Fidelity. But with this money, you can keep it in a high-yield savings account, but it needs to stay liquid so you can withdraw at any time as life is unpredictable. And point number 2 ties into point number 3, which is my own personal financial goal, which is to pay off all debt, no debt at all. Now, I mean all debt, mortgage, car loans, any credit card debt, student loans, whatever you got. My personal financial goal, I think most people by 40, would be to have a debt-free life where my only normal expenses or normal living expenses like taxes, food, clothes, whatever. Understand not everyone is going to be able to pay off a mortgage in 10 years. I know that's not feasible for a lot of people, but that's my own personal goal as living becomes insanely cheaper when there's no housing cost. According to this article, of course the ad comes up, the average mortgage for U.S. home buyers is over $2,000, $2,209. It varies from state to state. Florida is $2,300. Ohio, it's $1,900. So this is a big deal. So let's figure out the average mortgage real quick, right? 2209, and if we do this yearly times 12, that's $26,508. That's a lot of money saved every single year by not having a mortgage. Yes, you still got taxes, house insurance, all that stuff, but that's a lot of money saved you can put towards other things when there's no other debt in your life, no car leases, no mortgage. That's a great goal by 40, I think, for most people, if that's feasible for you. Now, also, when you have no mortgage, your emergency fund suddenly went from let's say 6 months to 12 months because you have no mortgage. It basically doubled, and now you have more money to invest, to buy stocks, Bitcoin, whatever funds you like. So no debt by age 40 is my goal as well. Point number 4, so now since we have more money to invest, no more debt, by age 40, the goal is to have enough in retirement accounts to coast FIRE. Now, you all have probably heard of FIRE, which is financial independence and retire early. But you might not have heard of Coast FIRE. Coast FIRE is where you have enough in your retirement accounts where compound interest will basically take care of the rest, where you have a set goal and you don't have to do anything else, any other contributions. You just have a big stash, so it'll compound interest to the rest of your goal to retirement. And we'll do an example so this makes sense. So let's go to our compound interest calculator, and let's say we are 40 years old and we want to retire at the age of 65. This gives us 25 years for compound interest to take effect. Also, let's just make the assumption you want $1 million in your retirement account. We'll just make this easy. How much money do you need at 40 years old with an inflation-adjusted return of 7% to have $1 million in your retirement account? If we put $175,000, and we're not doing any other contributions, in 25 years, we will have over $1 million. If we wanted $2 million, all we need to do is double that, $350,000, calculate, and now we have $2 million inflation-adjusted return, and this is without any other contributions in a retirement account. As we age, the closer we get to 50, 60 years old, our money does less for us because it has less time to compound interest. Every dollar we put in with a 7% return turns into more money when we have 25 years. So if we did $1 over 25 years, each dollar is going to be $5.73 in the future. If we only have 15 years, each dollar is only going to be $2.85. Let's say we're 5 years away from retirement. Each dollar is only going to be $1.42. So there's less incentive to stash it away for retirement. The older we get, the closer we get to retirement. So hit that coast fire early, let it compound, then enjoy that money and do whatever you see fit as you get closer to retirement. You're getting less bang for your buck because it has less time to compound. You can spend this money on family, go on vacation, do good deeds with it. Money can be a powerful tool. You don't have to keep stashing away if you hit that coast fire goal. But that's for you to define. You have an emergency fund, you have no debt, you have your retirement in order. The next point, number 5, you need to stay jacked and healthy. And you may say, John, this doesn't really relate to finances. 1, I'm not a financial advisor. And 2, yes, it does. Do you really want unnecessary medical expenses because you didn't take care of yourself? Because you're fat and overweight? Because you smoke cigarettes? You drink too much? How many people do you know that spend money on unnecessary medications, procedures, when it's a lifestyle habit, it's a lifestyle issue? It's not like something they're born with. How many people do you know who spend unnecessary amounts of money, time on alcohol and all these vices when they'd be better off without it? Why are you wasting money on being sick and poisoning yourself? It makes no logical sense. I know it's not a logic issue. It's an emotional issue. It's a spiritual issue. But this is still part of something we have to deal with. If you want to get jacked, if you want to be healthy, I have a whole video series on my other channel. It's in the description at the bottom. Don't spend your time and money on being sick. It makes no sense. Now, we always can't choose when we get sick or not. At 40, most people's lives are already halfway over, which is shown right here. If you're lucky, if you're lady, lucky you get a little bit longer, right? But this is why point 6 is actually the most important on the list, which is get right with God. This has been a change for myself over the past 2 years, and I'm still working on it. I'm not perfect. I'm still relatively new to this, so I'm not really here to preach, and I'll probably still be working on this till I die. But do we really want to be the rich fool from the Bible, from this parable? And I'll read it to you guys right now. This is from Luke 12:16-21. And he told them this parable: the ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, what shall I do? I have no place to store my crops. Then he said, this is what I'll do. Tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I'll store my surplus grain. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, you fool, the very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it'll be with whoever stores up things for themselves, but is not rich towards God. So we have to ask ourselves, do we really want to be like this man? Do we want to keep building bigger barns, bigger storehouses, bigger portfolios for our wealth, just to die with insane amounts of greed in our hearts, with lots of money, with no room for anything else? This really does take up a large portion of our hearts. We're called to use money for good. We all know we should donate to charity, do good things with our money. So let's do that. We know it's right in our heart. And we feel good helping others with our money. It's in our human nature. It feels good to help others. You never know when you die. So don't let money become your idol like it did with me, like it's still part of it. The only thing we should truly worship in this world, something unfading, is the Lord. And how many people, including myself, worship something else, have trouble with this. So don't be like the man in this parable. Lastly, point number 7 is to get your will in order. If you happen to pass, like we're discussing in point number 6, life is halfway over already, make sure that money goes to the right people. Don't pass away, then have your money stuck in the legal system. Then you got to go through some courts, blah, blah, blah. It's just a big headache. Don't have your family fight over this money. Talk to your local professional about this. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a professional. But make sure you got your will in order so the money goes to the right people. This video definitely took a turn for these last 3 points. But that's real life. It's what it is. Anyways, guys, your 7 goals may not look like mine. You may have different obligations, responsibilities, a different starting point, maybe different goals in life as well. So don't base your goals on mine. These are my own, but maybe you should share something similar. But if you're wondering what the average net worth of people in their 30s is, you need to check out this video right here to see if you're behind or ahead of the curve. God bless, guys. Peace.